Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Aces Loaded podcast. My name is Zack Beer, the voice of the Reno Aces. It's great to have you with us. We're here in Salt Lake City as the Aces wrap up a long road trip. Reno has won both series on this trip, both in El Paso and here in Salt Lake. And more impressive, the Aces have swept two doubleheaders in this one series in Salt Lake. So it's been a great road trip for the Aces. On this edition of the Aces Loaded podcast, we'll talk with Seth Beer. Seth, a great love for animals, and he's raising money for the Humane Society. We'll get into an auction that he's running for the Humane Society, and also talk a little bit about his baseball background. Also, we'll talk with Aces strength coach Derek Somerville about his background, how he likes to train the guys, and his philosophy as it pertains to strength and conditioning. So all of that is coming up on this edition of the Aces Loaded podcast. Stick around. We're right back after this. All right, we're back on the Aces Loaded podcast. Our player feature this edition is Seth Beer. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming on. Before we get into your charity and into what we came here to talk about, the animals, I want to get into your baseball season and kind of your baseball past. But coming into this game here in Salt Lake, you're hitting .291. You're one off the league lead in doubles. You're having a really solid year, your first year in AAA. How are you feeling about it?
I feel great. I think it's been an awesome experience to be a part of such a great team filled with talent, and obviously we all want to win and we all want to go out there and compete every night. I think that's kind of what's kind of helping me is like there's just so many guys that can do so many different things throughout a ball game and help the team win. So in my shoes, it's one of those things, just doing whatever I can to help the team in certain situations, and I think that's kind of what's helped. It's a lot easier to come up to the plate when you got guys in scoring position, guys that are itching to get around the bases and score, and that just makes my job as trying to drive those guys in a little bit easier.
We have something in common in that this is both our first year in AAA, and I've heard that synergy is hard to come by just because there's so many moves. There's such a revolving door, but I feel like this team has a certain something special, like a synergy about it, and it's evidenced in the comebacks. This team has had pretty epic comebacks, but what is it about this team that makes it flow the way it does?
I think that the ultimate goal is, we want to win, we want to compete. These guys want to go out there every night and they give it their all. I think the biggest thing with AAA is sometimes guys might, feel like they shouldn't be here or something like that. And those are the things that I heard personally going into AAA. But when I first got to, the Aces and we started practice, we started playing, I was like, I didn't feel that at all. I felt like this was a ball club that wants to go out there every night and try to scratch out a W, whether that's with the pitching or with the hitting. And this team seems like that's the ultimate goal. And I think that's a testament to kind of what Lolly does. Our manager, he wants to win every night, and I think he preaches that over and over throughout the games. And I think that that rubs off on guys. And you're playing your best baseball when you go out there and you're trying to do your best and trying to win. And at the end of the day, the cards fall where they must. But I think just having that thought process of going out there and just trying to win every game and trying to compete every day, every pitch, I think is kind of what's kind of keeping this team going.
Take us inside your baseball foundation. Now, you were born in Illinois. You went to high school in Georgia. Which do you identify as your hometown?
I would definitely identify more as from Georgia. I moved down there when I was about 5 years old. So I lived most of my life in the Atlanta suburbs in Suwanee, Georgia. So I would identify as more of a Southerner than I am a Northerner. I still had a lot of family that lives up north, though. And my parents are from Minnesota. And so they know the cold, so they like the warm weather down south. But I would say I spent most of my life in Georgia, so I would say I'm from Georgia.
That's why I asked, because I know you get very protective about what you identify as, and if you're a Southerner, you're a Southerner. Northerner, you're a Northerner. When did you develop a love for the game?
I would say when I was a kid. Obviously in Georgia, the sport of baseball is really big, and for me, I started to really love it probably around 9 and 10 is when I started getting serious about it. Started watching baseball on TV, going like, I want to want to do this someday. I want to be a big leaguer. I want to play professional baseball, and I think that's kind of where the dream started. And from there, telling my parents that, and going out there, and them having to pay money, a lot of money for me to go to these tournaments, showcases and stuff growing up, and just chasing a dream that I had as a kid, and going in full on, so credit to my parents for that, for giving me the opportunity to do that. And I feel like without them I wouldn't be here where I am today.
I've been alive nearly 40 years, so I know this. There's some things that people are just good at, like they have a knack for it. You seem to have a knack for hitting. I've seen a lot of hitters. The natural ability that you have is among the best I've seen. Was that always the case, or did you really have to kind of coax that talent out of yourself?
When I first started playing baseball, it was just something that always came easy to me. It was always came and it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I can step in the box and be like, "Whoa, this is pretty easy." No, it's extremely difficult. But at a young age, I remember kind of looking at myself compared to peers and other guys, and going, I feel like I might have a little bit of a knack for this, and I just have a feel for it. And I'll never forget, at 10 years old, I came in the dugout one time and I was like, yeah, I know this guy's really, you can hit this guy, you can see the seams when it comes out of his hand. And so you can tell when he's throwing a changeup or a fastball, and kids looking at me like I'm crazy, because and that was the first gist I got, that I was not everybody sees seams on a baseball when it comes out of their hand. Mm-hmm. And after that, I was kind of like, all right, well, hey, maybe God gave me something a little bit special with picking up the ball out of a guy's hand and being able to see that, and putting the barrel on it. But like I said, the game's hard, and I don't do it every night, and I certainly try to, and the game humbles you all the time. But I feel like most comfortable in the box than I do anywhere else, honestly, in the world.
It's easy to tell. You've hit pretty much everywhere you've been, including Clemson, at a very high level. Was there ever a point where you had to overcome a challenge, or did it always come, I don't want to say that easy, because like you said, it's not, but relatively speaking, did it always come easy?
Definitely. When I first got my first taste of Double-A is when I was in Corpus Christi, Texas. I had just gotten called up from High A when I was with the Astros, and everybody's throwing out of the pen, everybody's throwing upper 90s. For like a 2 to 3 week span, it was very difficult, and I had to make some pretty big adjustments to be able to handle that velocity. But that just came with the process of stepping in the box every night and seeing guys that throw 100 miles an hour, and the game started to slow down. But I feel like every level has a different thing that you have to overcome. And I think Double-A in the league that I was in to start that year was the velocity, and once I found comfort in being able to handle that kind of velocity, it started to slow down a little bit. But I'd tell you, every level has something you have to overcome, and you're never going to stop overcoming things as a hitter when you step in the box, because there's always going to be things that you need to work on and continue to get better at. And I just try to do everything I possibly can to every night be able to step in the box and feel confident that I'm going to have an opportunity to help the team win the game.
We're on the Aces Loaded podcast. Zack Beer, joined by Aces infielder Seth Beer. Take us through the trade in 2019. You were drafted by the Astros. You were the 28th overall pick, I think it was. Yeah, 28th overall by the Astros, and then you get traded, and it was a huge trade, a blockbuster. Can you take us through how you found out about it and kind of how you handled it?
That was tough. I was FaceTiming my girlfriend Taylor. I just gotten off a 17-hour bus ride from Springfield, Missouri to Corpus Christi, Texas. I walked in the door, and I'm FaceTiming her, and we're talking because I haven't been able to catch up with her in a while. And I start getting a call from somebody. Say, hey, I got to take this real quick. I pick up the phone, and I get told that I'm being dealt to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and of course. At this point, there was like 2 minutes left in the deadline, and I had just joked about it earlier on the FaceTime. I said, "Well, I think I, outlasted the deadline here," and to my girlfriend, and she laughed, and then of course I got that call immediately after, and then so I get told I'm headed to Arizona. So I thank them for their time, and they thanked me for everything that I brought to the table and tried to do for the organization. And I remember calling my girlfriend back, and at this point I'm just kind of in a little bit of shock, kind of set back, and I said, well, I got a new job. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, I'm headed to Arizona. And she was like, all right. So, and the crazy part about it is my parents were flying out from Georgia to Texas to come visit me. And they were on a flight, so they didn't even know until they landed in Texas, and I was already gone to go to Tennessee to play with in Jackson with the Generals, with the AA team, with the Diamondbacks. So it was wild. So they had to move out all my stuff and stuff because I just had to catch a flight and get ready to go. So it was crazy. But you know, when you think of a guy like Zack Greinke, you know, one of the best pitchers I grew up ever seeing, and being tied with him, that's pretty cool.
What's it been like for you your first year in AAA? Obviously, the team has been phenomenal, but as far as you know, and getting acclimated to being a Diamondback, what's that been like?
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I'm sorry, something in my mouth.
You never know what's gonna get into you here in Salt Lake City.
All right.
You just let me know when you're good.
Oh man, I think it was like a bug.
You want to get a drink?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna cut this. We could cut this. We could keep it. I prefer to keep it. I like the.
Yeah, I think it was like a bug.
No, that's the worst. That's the absolute worst. You can't do an interview with something in your throat. But just being a Diamondback, your first full year now being immersed with the organization. I guess you had some time last year in 2020. What was 2020 like, and into 21?
I think it was huge. Learning a new team and learning a new experience and organization. It's like anything. It's like getting a new job. No, you might not know all the ropes and everything about it, but the more time you spend with them, the more time you're around the guys, the more comfortable you get. So where I'm sitting now, I love where I'm at. I love the coaches, my teammates, everything, and I really think this is a good group of guys and a good group of talent to come up with. So.
All right, I want to talk about what you want to do for the Humane Society, and I have it here. You're going to auction off 2 game-used bats, signed, I would imagine, and a dozen balls for the Humane Society. I want to kind of take you into your love for animals and from where that stems, so people understand where you're coming from and why you're doing this.
It comes from my mom. She's always brought in animals ever since I can remember as a kid, and we had 3 family dogs. That were really, really, really good dogs, and I was actually there for 2 of them when we got them. Bo was the first dog we had, and we got him right in front of our street of my childhood home during a terrible thunderstorm in Georgia, and we found him on the street, and he was trying to cross the street, and it was monsoon pouring. My mom jumped out of the car. She ran out to the front of the car. The headlights of my dad's car were on, and she picked up this little dog and brought him into the car and gave him to me, and she's like, wrap him up, there's a towel in the back. So I grabbed the towel and I'm trying to dry him off, and the look on his face and disbelief that someone stopped for him and he's not in this storm anymore, of just like this thankful look that I remember he gave me as I'm drying him off, was like the first thing I was like, man, I want to do something like this wherever my life takes me. And and then throughout my life, then the other dogs would just drop in, and my mom would always say that. She's like, God will always just get, when we need a dog and God thinks it's the right time, like one will just show up. And sure enough, like we got Daisy. Maybe a year or 2 later, we were actually going to Walmart to go pick up food and groceries and stuff, and this dog was a beagle, was just sitting there, and this guy kind of gave me the dog and just walked away. And I didn't know what to do. So I looked at my mom, I was like, Mom, I got a dog, I'm 8 years old. And she was like, okay. So we didn't get any groceries or anything. We come back to the house. And my dad's like, did you get the groceries? She's like, no, but we got a puppy. And it was a beagle, and that was Daisy, and she was a tender-hearted dog. And then the third one, Bella, who we still have. My parents still have at the house. She's a goofball, and but we got her at a baseball tournament. Some lady was giving away puppies, and we took her. And it's so funny though. You think about those situations throughout, your life, and then the things I think about is how much of like the love and impact those dogs had on me when I was a kid. So pretty cool stuff.
I feel like we're kind of simpatico that I have 2 dogs. One of them's a rescue. I have 2 cats, and they're both rescues. But I almost am too empathetic. Like I can't. I don't want to sound cheesy and corny, but like whenever we're at a place, like we had a thunderstorm here the other day, there was a gentleman on the corner with his dog, and he was homeless. And then the first, obviously you care about the human being, but I'm so empathetic for the animals, and every time we're somewhere where there are big thunderstorms, and I think about the animals that are out there and how they need help. And do you kind of have that same compulsion because you had the experiences you had as a kid?
Oh, definitely. I think it's something I always think about, and it's something I always try to look to help. When I go to new places, I've always tried my best to reach out, whether it was donating money, donating time, donating food, doing things like that. With certain places that I've been throughout my minor league career, and I just think it's something special, and it's something I can hold close to my heart, knowing that. The amount of joy and love that I've spent with animals that my family has had, and knowing that it doesn't take much. A dog doesn't care if you go 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. A dog's gonna love you unconditionally. An animal's gonna love you because you're who you are, for no other reason. And I think it's pretty cool because no matter how tough life gets, that dog will always have your back, or that animal will always have your back. And I think that is kind of what can keep you going sometimes when people go through tough times. People go through certain things throughout life, where they feel like, maybe I just can't get by this. I don't know. I feel like that's why, there are animals like that, because that's something that unconditionally will love you. And that's something that I think is pretty special.
I love that, man. So you're going to auction off 2 game used bats and a dozen balls, and can you tell us more about where you want the proceeds to go and how people can get involved?
The Humane Society. This is my ultimate goal for this is I want the people that work at these shelters at the Humane Society. It's a tough gig. Mm-hmm. It's a tough job. Sometimes you got to make tough decisions. Sometimes you got to put money in different spots when you feel, and that's life, and life is tough. And I just want to. My goal always when I do stuff like this is to always just try to take some pressure off of those people and go, we can do this now, or we can do that now, and we can fund this, and we can get dogs here or there. And that's my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is just to get some of that pressure, get some of that the weight off their shoulders, and be able to enjoy what they're doing a little bit more. Because without the people that work at these shelters in the Humane Society, it'd be a lot different and it'd be a lot tougher. But knowing, just because my mom had done stuff like this, and being around some people that do it. It's a tough gig, and a credit to them, because I couldn't do it. I would have 80 dogs at my house, and so my ultimate goal is just to honor and thank them for what they do, and do what I can in the shoes that and at the stage that I'm at, and just give back to that, with what I can do, because I'm just so grateful and thankful that there are people that are willing to do that kind of job.
1,000%, because I'd love to volunteer at a million different shelters, and I feel like in my heart it would be really hard for me, just because I feel so connected, and I'd take them all home.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, if people want to get one of your bats or one of your autograph balls, would they just contact the Aces?
Yeah, there should be an auction that goes on, and contact the Aces, and they should be able to help you out further. It's something I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I'm hoping that we get some pretty big outreach when it comes to it. And I'm really hoping that some dogs get adopted, and some animals get adopted from the Humane Society from this too. And that's honestly truly the ultimate goal.
Seth, you're awesome, man. Thanks for all you're doing for the animals, and congrats on it. What's been a great season so far. Keep it going, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course, that's Seth Beer, and this has been the player feature on our Aces Loaded podcast. We're back for more after this.
Now to our other top story tonight, there will be no ace ball in 2020.
For the first time in the history of minor league baseball, an entire season has been canceled.
This news was expected given the current health crisis. This afternoon's announcement means that we'll not be playing ball this season, along with the nearly 160 other minor league teams.
That ball is crushed. How about another 2-home run game?
2-2 on the way from Clark. Swung on and missed.
Walker belts one way out of here and gone. Oh my goodness.
back. Socrates racing. He makes the catch.
The throw from Reno is right there, and they got it!
From downtown Reno, welcome back to Greater Nevada Field for another season of Reno Aces baseball. We are back on the Aces Loaded podcast. Zack Beer, joined by Reno Aces strength coach Derek Somerville. This is the Zack on the Road segment presented by My Ride to Work. And Derek in his first season with the AAA Diamondbacks here in Reno. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. We're in Salt Lake right now and wrapping up a long road trip. And, you know, throughout the course of not only this trip, but all the trips, I see what you do with the guys and how you get creative in these spaces with training the guys. And just a few moments ago, I saw you in the hallway working with some of the dudes and stretching them out and getting them ready to lift. Take us through kind of what your day encompasses.
Yeah, I mean, so once we get into season, pretty busy days for the most part. Once we get to the park, I'm pretty much available for guys whenever they need me. I just try and be available and bring a lot of energy and just try and, like I said, be available for guys for whatever they need. So that kind of looks like you saw me 20 minutes ago, just getting guys ready for what they need to do for cages, throwing program, whatever. If they need a stretch, if they need some soft tissue work or whatever they need to do to get prepared for what they have to do on the field.
I think if anybody works out, and in my case, pushing 40 years old, you kind of get into a different way of thinking about it. You know, you think about a strength coach, you're like, oh, well, he helps the guys squat and lift and yada yada. But I think especially nowadays, things have evolved to where you help guys with their pliability, you help guys with their tissue and getting ready to actually do the heavy lifting. Can you take us into that a little bit? Yeah,
I think, it goes into our philosophy as the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's durability is more important than ability. So these guys don't get paid to lift with me, they get paid to be on the field. So that goes into everything I do with whatever they're doing, for whether it's lifts, conditioning, anything. It's getting them ready to play that day, reacting to baseball instead of putting strength and conditioning first.
When did you know you wanted to do this?
So I played baseball through college, and it's just something I always liked, being on a team, being around teammates, just the vibe in the clubhouse. So just something that was my way of staying around a team.
But did you always have an affinity for working out and for lifting and for kind of the muscular element of that?
Yeah, so ever since I was, played baseball, like I said, never really the most gifted athlete, so I had to work for everything I got. I enjoyed, since 8th grade, being in the gym and preparing myself to do what I had to do to beat other guys out. I knew I was more prepared than other guys, so that was my way of competing.
How does nutrition impact things, and are you kind of at the forefront of that with your program?
Yeah, nutrition's huge. Like, that's the gas for our Ferraris we got here, so it all depends on what you put into your body is going to get what you put out on the field. So this year more than ever, I'm in charge of the food and the nutrition, and that's been a lot of different challenges with getting food delivered and everything with budgets and different experiences there, but it's been a good experience.
My career, I've been around a lot of strength coaches. I've been fortunate actually to kind of work with some, because on the road, you try and lean on someone with expertise, and when you go work out and you talk to your strength coach and see some of the programs that they recommend, I've found that the challenge for a lot of strength coaches sometimes isn't getting guys to do the program, it's reeling some guys in because they want to do sometimes too much. Does that ever kind of get in your crosshairs?
Definitely, and especially with our guys, it's a good problem to have. I'd rather have that than a guy that doesn't want to do anything, but some guys just need to know the balance between what they have to do for their job and what they want to do in the weight room. So it's just a fine line of what you can do and what you can't do in season versus off season, for sure.
I think maybe back in the day the philosophy was, you go, and this is before strength coaches traveled. I'm talking like the Stone Ages. You go and you lift and whatever, and you do it on your own, and maybe the head athletic trainer will be there supervising, but nothing with the nitty gritty that you're into. Where is this going? Like, where is strength and conditioning evolving? Like, is it more towards pliability and less towards heavyweights? Is it maybe vice versa, which would surprise me? But where's the evolution of this going?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting time for baseball right now with strength and conditioning. One of my areas I like a lot is the skill development side of things, skill acquisition. I think that's where strength and conditioning is trending towards and can trend to, is using exercises and stuff to get mechanics down, with whether it be swinging or pitching, just getting guys better at baseball too.
Lastly, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Just being a part of this team and being around the guys all the time. It's not a job.
Love that. Great to watch you work, man. Thanks for stopping by, Derek, and we'll chat with you down the road.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, that's Aces strength coach Derek Somerville. This has been Zack on the Road, presented by My Ride to Work. We're back to wrap up the Aces Loaded podcast after this. I'm a proud Reno transplant. The first time that I set foot in Reno actually was opening day 2013, and that was the day that I came to interview for a job with the Reno Aces. I think about what a friendly community this is. I came in and was welcomed. People were very open with me, and when I say open, they were open in the best ways. They told me what was good. They told me what might not be great, that we could do better. But I was given a chance. What Reno is now is this incredibly vibrant, live, work, play, outdoor community. There are things to do in all parts of the community. Our downtown, we have a river running through it. If you're lucky enough to live in a city with a river in downtown. It's spectacular, everything that brings off of it. We're the smallest community that has AAA baseball, and I feel like that's a source of pride. Biggest Little City is a source of pride in that we can accomplish anything that the big cities can do, but we're gonna do it in a way that's a little bit more friendly and more inclusive. Creating the BLC, Biggest Little City brand, we wanted to create something that connected to our community beyond baseball. It's about uniting our baseball team to a community. And so we want this to be something that our community rallies around, that they support, and that also brings baseball players from diverse backgrounds all over the world and sort of marks them as ours. When they wear that BLC hat, they now become part of Reno, part of Northern Nevada's culture and heritage and history, and we get to support those players, as they move through to the major leagues, and they'll always have the BLC in them. Welcome back as the Aces Loaded podcast wraps up here from Salt Lake City. My thanks to Seth Beer and Derek Somerville for joining me on this edition of the podcast. I mentioned the Aces wrapping up a long road trip here in Salt Lake. They'll return home this Thursday to begin a long 12-game homestand. Some great promotions coming up at Greater Nevada Field as the season winds down. For tickets, visit RenoAces.com. We can't wait to see you at Greater Nevada Field. This has been the Aces Loaded podcast. We'll see you next time.